The massive crystalline throne room of the Zoraxian flagship sparkled with blue light as Queen Vixera entered. Tiny ice particles danced in the recycled air. Her 8-foot-tall frame moved with practiced grace, despite the heavy ceremonial armor that adorned her azure-scaled body. The 4 royal guards flanked her, each armed with energy spears that hummed with barely contained power. Queen Vixera stopped abruptly when her large, multifaceted eyes fell upon the strange creature standing between 2 more guards near the center of the room. The human male appeared so small, so fragile compared to her warriors. His soft pink skin lacked any protective scales or plates. His limbs were only 2 in number, rather than the 6 that proper evolution had granted her species. Yet something about him made her hearts race. The silence in the throne room grew uncomfortable as she studied him. His stance was not one of fear, but of quiet defiance. His eyes met hers without wavering, an act that would be punishable by death if committed by any Zoraxian fleet. Commander Crick stepped forward, her mandibles clicking with irritation. "My queen. This is the human we captured near the border outpost. He was piloting a scout ship and gathering intelligence. On our defenses, we believe he is a spy for the Earth Coalition." Queen Vixera barely heard the words. Her attention remained fixed on the human. His face showed no emotion but his eyes. They contained something she had never seen in her thousands of cycles of rule. They held neither fear nor hatred nor even the proper respect due to her station. They held pity. Without warning, Queen Vixera did something that shocked every Zoraxian present. She slowly lowered her towering frame until she was kneeling before the human prisoner. Her head bowed low, her elaborate crown touching the polished floor. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Guards raised their weapons in confusion. Commander Crick stepped forward. "My queen, what are you doing? This is madness. He is a prisoner, a human." The queen raised one clawed hand for silence. "I apologize, human. I apologize on behalf of my entire species." Her voice resonated with a genuine remorse that stunned her subjects. The human named Sam Kelly finally showed surprise. "Your Highness, I don't understand." Queen Vixera rose slowly, her eyes never leaving his. 3 days ago, our scientists decoded the final pieces of your transmission history. We know what your people did. We know what you sacrificed. Sam stiffened but remained silent. "For 300 years we have hunted your kind, believing the propaganda that humans were dangerous vermin spreading through the galaxy, consuming resources and destroying established civilizations." She moved closer. "To him, we never questioned why humans never fought back with full force, why your ships would sacrifice themselves to protect civilian transports, why your colonies always had more schools than weapons factories." Commander Crick shifted uncomfortably. "My queen, perhaps we should discuss this in private. The prisoner does not need to. He needs to hear this more than anyone." Vixera interrupted. "Our historians have confirmed that the great blight that nearly destroyed our homeworld 2 centuries ago was not a natural disaster. It was an engineered weapon created by the Kralaxian Empire." Sam nodded slowly. "The extinction protocol we suspected but could never prove it. The same Kralaxians who convinced us that humans were the greatest threat to galactic stability." The Queen continued. "While our analysts were reviewing Earth transmissions, we discovered something your leaders kept hidden even from most of your own people. The Kralaxians deployed the same biological weapon against Earth 50 years ago." The throne room fell completely silent. "Your scientists discovered the cure, but implementing it would have required resources that would leave Earth defenseless against our fleet, which was already moving against your outer colonies." Queen Vixera stepped even closer. "You had a choice: save yourselves or save others. Your leaders chose to send the cure and all research data to our world disguised as agricultural aid while keeping none for Earth." Sam looked down. "Operation Lifeline. It was classified. We lost 40% of our population. You saved 90% of ours." Queen Vixera replied. "And in return we continued to hunt you, believing you were monsters." The Queen turned to address the entire room. "The human prisoners are to be released immediately. All hostilities against Earth and her colonies will cease. I will personally lead a delegation to their homeworld to offer reparations and alliance. Commander Crix stepped forward. But my queen, the High Council, will. Never. The High Council answers to me. Vexara cut her off. And I answer to justice. We have been wrong for centuries. It ends today. She turned back to Sam. We have much to learn from your people. Human compassion is not weakness as we believed. It is a strength beyond our understanding. Will you help us understand it? Sam Kelly straightened his shoulders, looking up at the towering alien queen who had just knelt before him. My name is Sam. I think that's a good place to start. The news of Queen Vexara's shocking act spread through the massive Zoraxian fleet within hours. By the next cycle, every warrior clan leader was demanding an explanation. The Grand Council chamber aboard the flagship filled with the Empire's highest officials. Most were outraged. Some were curious, none understood. Sam Kelly stood beside the Queen's throne not as a prisoner but as a guest. His small frame looking even more fragile among the towering alien warriors. You dishonor our entire species by kneeling. To this human, War Chief Zorn bellowed. His massive frame shook with rage. For 20 generations my clan has hunted humans across the stars, and now you tell us to stop, to apologize, to ally with them. This is madness. Queen Vexara remained calm. War Chief Zorn, your clan has hunted humans for 20 generations, and yet humans still exist. Why do you think that is? The war chief seemed confused by the question. Because we have not hunted them hard enough. No. Vexara said simply, it is because humans are not what we believed them to be. They could have destroyed us many times, they chose not to. Murmurs spread through the council chamber. The Queen gestured to Sam. This human and his people could have watched our civilization collapse. When the Great Blight struck our worlds, they knew we were hunting them, yet they sent us the cure, sacrificing millions of their own people to save billions of ours. Science Minister. Trelk stepped forward, her movements slow with age. My queen, I have reviewed the data myself. The human transmission history is clear. Their leaders knew exactly what would happen to their planet if they diverted resources to save us. They did it anyway. A decision that no Zoraxian ruler would ever make. Which is why we have much to learn from them. Queen Vexara replied. War Chief Zorn was not convinced. How do we know this is not some elaborate human trick, some new weapon against us? Sam spoke for the first time, his voice calm despite being surrounded by creatures who had spent generations hunting his kind. If we wanted to destroy you, we could have simply let the blight run its course. Your entire species would have been extinct within a decade. The council chamber grew quiet as the truth of his words sank in. Resource Minister Pell clicked her mandibles thoughtfully. If what you say is true, then our entire understanding of humans has been wrong. But the question remains, what do humans want now? Revenge, resources, territory. Sam shook his head. Peace. A chance to rebuild what both our civilizations have lost. A future where our children don't grow up learning to fear each other. Queen Vexara stood. I have made my decision. The war with humanity ends today. We will offer reparations alliance. And knowledge exchange. I will travel to Earth myself to meet with their leaders. War Chief Zorn stepped forward aggressively. And if we refuse to follow this new path, if we choose to continue the old ways. The Queen met his gaze without flinching. Then you will do so without me, without the throne fleet, and without the support of those who see wisdom in change. The choice is yours, War Chief. Choose carefully. The journey to Earth took 3 weeks by Zoraxian hyperspace standards. Queen Vexara used this time to learn everything she could about humans. Their history, their cultures, their strange and wonderful diversity. Sam Kelly became her unofficial guide, explaining human concepts that had no equivalent in Zoraxian society. Your people have no castes, Vexara asked as they shared a meal in her private chambers. The food had been specially prepared to accommodate Sam's biology, no genetic determination of function. Sam smiled. We tried that sort of thing in our past, it never ended well. We found that people work best when they choose their own paths. But how do you maintain order? Without the clarity of knowing one's place from birth. We stumble. Sam admitted, we make mistakes, we argue, we even fight sometimes, but we also grow. We change, we become better than we were. The Queen considered this. Change is not something Zoraxians value. We have remained essentially the same for 10,000 cycles. Our strength is in our consistency, and yet here you are. Sam gestured around them, changing everything. Queen Vexara clicked her mandibles in amusement. Perhaps humans are contagious. On the viewing deck, Sam showed the Queen images of Earth. Its blue oceans, its green continents, its swirling white clouds. It's not as grand as your home world, he said. But it's home. It is beautiful, Vexara admitted. Different from our crystal forests and magma plains, but beautiful in its own way. She hesitated. Will your people truly accept peace after all we've done? Sam was quiet for a long moment. It won't be easy. Some will resist. The hatred runs deep. But humans are adaptable. If we can see a path to peace, most will take it. And the rest will need time. Sam said simply, as will many of your people. Commander Crix entered the viewing deck, her posture stiff with formality. My Queen, we are approaching the Sol system. Earth Defense Forces have detected our presence. Their weapons platforms are tracking us, Vexara nodded. As expected, transmit the peace code Sam provided. Maintain defensive shields but power down all weapons. Make it clear we come in peace. And if they fire upon us, the Queen looked at Sam. Then we will have our answer. Sam shook his head. They won't not if they receive our message. The Earth Coalition has waited too long for this moment. Hours passed in tense silence. The massive Zoraxian flagship entered Earth orbit surrounded by human defense vessels. Sam had warned them the humans would be cautious after centuries of war. No one aboard the alien ship was surprised by the heavily armed escort. Queen Vexara prepared to address the human leaders. She wore her formal regalia, but left her ceremonial weapons behind. Sam stood beside her, no longer a prisoner, but a bridge between two species. They will expect strength, Sam advised. But also honesty. Any attempt to hide the truth will be seen as manipulation. Vexara nodded. My people value directness as well, though perhaps with less emphasis on the truth. She studied his face. You are nervous. Terrified, Sam admitted. I'm about to introduce the Queen of our greatest enemy to the leaders of Earth. Not exactly a normal day. You fought in the war. It wasn't a question, Sam nodded. 10 years on the front lines, I lost friends, family. My entire colony was destroyed in the Battle of Proxima. And yet you stand with me now. Why? Because someone has to be first, Sam said. Someone has to be willing to see the enemy as something more. The communication panel chimed. Earth was ready. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing a semicircle of human leaders. Their faces showed varying degrees of suspicion, caution, and hope. A woman stepped forward. Dark skin contrasted with her silver hair. Her eyes held wisdom and wariness in equal measure. I am President Claire Wilson of the Earth Coalition, she said. We receive you in peace. Queen Vexara of the Zoraxian Empire, though I admit with some surprise. Queen Vexara stepped forward. President Wilson, I come before you not as a conqueror but as one who seeks forgiveness. For 300 years our peoples have been enemies. Today I wish to change that. Bold words from the ruler of an empire that has destroyed 17 human colonies. Another counselor said, his voice hard, bold but necessary. Vexara replied, we have recently discovered truths that change everything we thought we knew about humans. She explained about Operation Lifeline, about the sacrifice Earth made to save Zoraxian worlds from the Blight President. Wilson glanced at her advisors, many of whom looked shocked. That operation has been classified for 50 years. How did you learn of it? Sam stepped into view. Madam President, Sam Kelly, Special Forces Reconnaissance. The Queen found me 3 weeks ago. My ship was damaged during a scouting mission. They captured me, but instead of execution, Queen Vexera did something unprecedented. She knelt and apologized. Gasps echoed. Through the Earth Council, we have been deceived, Queen Vexera continued, manipulated by the Kralaxians into believing humans were monsters, when in truth you showed a compassion my people cannot comprehend. I come offering peace alliance reparations for the harm we have caused, and I come with gratitude for the lives you saved even as we hunted you. President Wilson was silent for a long moment. Captain Kelly, do you believe the Queen's intentions are genuine? I do. Madam President, Sam said, without hesitation, I have spent 3 weeks aboard her ship. She could have continued the war. Instead, she chose peace at great political risk to herself. The Zoraxians have superior firepower, another counselor noted. What guarantee do we have that this isn't a ploy to lower our defenses? None. Queen Vexera answered before Sam could speak. Except this. To everyone's shock, the Queen once again knelt, lowering her impressive frame in submission. I offer myself as hostage. If my fleet takes any aggressive action, I authorize you to execute me immediately. I will remain on Earth while negotiations proceed. Sam had not expected this. He looked at the Queen in astonishment. President Wilson stood. That won't be necessary. Queen Vexera, your gesture alone speaks volumes. We accept your offer of peace talks. We will send a diplomatic vessel to escort you to Earth, where you will be received not as a hostage, but as an honored guest. 3 days later, Queen Vexera set foot on Earth, the first Zoraxian monarch to ever do so. The diplomatic landing zone was heavily guarded, but the atmosphere was one of cautious hope rather than hostility. Sam walked beside her, a symbolic bridge between two species. The air is thinner than I expected, Vexera noted, her breathing apparatus filtering oxygen to her alien physiology, and the gravity lighter. Will you be comfortable? Sam asked. Comfort is irrelevant. History is being made, the Queen replied. President Wilson greeted them in person, an unprecedented honor. Welcome to Earth, Queen Vexera. Our world is not as grand as your crystal palaces, but we hope you'll find beauty here. Any world where life thrives has beauty. President Wilson, Vexera replied. I am honored by your welcome, especially given our shared history. As they walked toward the diplomatic compound, crowds of humans lined the secure route. Some looked curious, others wary. Many held signs with messages of peace, though a few displayed anger. The Queen observed all of this with interest. Your people are permitted to show dissent openly, she noted, even against their leaders. President Wilson nodded. Democracy is messy, Queen Vexera, but we believe the freedom to question strengthens us rather than weakens us. Fascinating, the Queen mused. Among my people, such public dissent would be unthinkable. Perhaps that too can change, Sam suggested. Queen Vexera clicked her mandibles thoughtfully. Perhaps everything is changing now. The peace talks stretched on for weeks. Each day brought new challenges, new revelations, new opportunities. Queen Vexera learned that human diplomacy moved at a pace that would test even Zoraxian patience. Your species discusses everything to death, she complained to Sam one evening as they walked through the diplomatic compound gardens, where a Zoraxian queen would simply decree a new policy your leaders must debate endlessly. Sam chuckled. Democracy is inefficient by design. Power moves slowly, but with the consent of the people, that makes change more stable in the long run. Perhaps, Vexera admitted, but I fail to see why we needed 3 days to discuss agricultural exchange protocols. Their conversation was interrupted by a small, human child who had somehow slipped past security. The girl, no more than 6 years old, stared up at the towering alien queen with wide eyes but no fear. Are you really the alien queen? She asked. Queen Vexera was taken aback. No Zoraxian child would ever address royalty so directly. She knelt down, bringing herself to eye level with the small human. I am Queen Vexera of the Zoraxian Empire, she said, her voice gentler than Sam had ever heard it. The girl seemed unimpressed. My mommy says you used to be bad, but now you're trying to be good, is that true? Sam winced, expecting the queen to take offense, but Vexara surprised him. Your mother is wise, the queen said. For many years my people did bad things to humans. We were wrong, now we are trying to make amends, to learn to be good. The girl considered this with the serious contemplation only children can manage. My teacher says when you do something wrong you have to say sorry, and then do better. Queen Vexara nodded solemnly. That is excellent advice. I am saying sorry now, and I promise I am trying to do better. Satisfied, the girl smiled. Okay, I forgive you. She offered a small flower she'd picked from the garden. Security personnel arrived, breathless, apologizing profusely. For the breach, the girl's mother followed, mortified by her daughter's boldness. But Queen Vexara simply accepted the flower with ceremonial gravity, as if receiving a state gift. Later she studied the small bloom. The child forgave me so easily, without debate, without conditions. Children often see more clearly than adults, Sam said. They haven't learned to hold grudges yet. Perhaps we should put children in charge of peace negotiations. Vexara mused. Sam laughed. Don't tempt me. Some days I think they'd do better. Not all interactions were so pleasant. That evening, during a diplomatic reception, a human male approached the queen. His stance was aggressive, his eyes hard with hatred. My entire family died on Proxima Colony, he said loudly enough for nearby conversations to falter. They weren't soldiers, they were farmers. Security moved to intervene, but Queen Vexara raised a hand, stopping them. She faced the man. What was your family's name? The question seemed to surprise him. Baker. My wife, Linda, my daughters, Kelly and Nora. The queen bowed her head. The Baker family of Proxima Colony. I will remember their names. Their deaths came by my order during my early reign. I cannot undo that harm, but I acknowledge it. I carry the weight of it, and I seek to ensure no more families suffer the same fate. The man had clearly expected denial, deflection, perhaps even arrogance. Instead, the queen's simple acknowledgement left him speechless. The hatred in his eyes didn't disappear, but something else joined it. Confusion, recognition of her humanity despite her alien form. Why? He finally asked. Why did you order it? Because I believed the lies I was told, that humans were a plague consuming worlds, that you would destroy us if we did not. Destroy you first, Vexara answered. I was wrong. I cannot ask for your forgiveness, but I ask for your patience as we try to build something better. The man said nothing more. He simply nodded once and walked away. The tension in the room slowly dissipated. President Wilson approached. That was well handled. Most leaders would have had him removed. He has earned his anger. Queen Vexara replied. Denying him voice would only prove I remain the monster he believes me to be. Sam watched this exchange with growing admiration. The queen he had first met weeks ago, proud and imperial, was learning humility, not as weakness, but as strength. The next day brought the first major breakthrough in negotiations. Earth agreed to share advanced medical technology in exchange for Zoraxian hyperspace drive specifications, a small step but significant. The first willing exchange between species who had known only warfare for centuries. That evening, Commander Crix requested an urgent private audience with Queen Vexara. Sam was asked to join them as a trusted advisor. My queen, I bring troubling news. Crix reported. The Kralaxian ambassador has requested an immediate audience with the High Council back home. He claims to have evidence that humans are planning treachery. Queen. Vexara hissed, her mandibles clicking rapidly in agitation. Of course he does. The Kralaxians have maintained power by keeping our species at war. They have the most to lose from peace. What will your council do? Sam asked. Some will listen. Vexara admitted. War Chief Zorn and his allies remain skeptical of our new path. If the Kralaxians provide convincing evidence, even false evidence, it could destabilize everything. Commander Crix straightened her posture. I should return to the homeworld, immediately counter the Kralaxian influence. The Queen considered this. No, I need you here, Commander. She turned to Sam. I need to address my council directly. Show them what I've seen, what I've learned, but I cannot leave Earth now. The peace process is too fragile. Virtual communication, Sam suggested, insufficient. Vexara replied, for matters of this importance, Zoraxian protocol demands physical presence. The council must see smell sense. My conviction. Sam thought for a moment. What if we bring them here? Both aliens stared at him. Invite the full High Council to Earth. Sam continued. Let them see for themselves. Let them meet humans directly. Experience what you've experienced. Queen Vexara clicked her mandibles in consideration. Bold, unprecedented, potentially dangerous, also potentially transformative. Commander Crix noted, if the council members see what you have seen, President Wilson would never agree. Sam warned, bringing the entire Zoraxian leadership to Earth. The security concerns alone. Then we must convince her. Queen Vexara decided. Tomorrow we present this proposal. The Kralaxians seek to destroy our progress through whispers and lies. We will counter with direct experience. Truth seen with one's own eyes is harder to deny. The next morning, the diplomatic session began with Queen Vexara's unexpected proposal. President Wilson and her advisors were understandably concerned. You wish to bring the entire Zoraxian Leadership Council to Earth? Wilson repeated, the same council that has authorized attacks on human worlds for centuries. Yes, Queen Vexara said simply. They must see what I have seen. Experience what I have experienced. Words alone will not convince them. Peace cannot take root on my world if only I believe in it. One of the human generals leaned forward. Or this could be an elaborate trap. Gather our leadership and yours in one place. For what purpose? Vexara countered. If I wished to attack Earth, I would not need such elaborate deception. My fleet remains superior in firepower. Sam stepped forward. Madam President, I believe the Queen is genuine, and this proposal, while risky, offers a unique opportunity. If the entire Zoraxian leadership experiences Earth directly meets our people, it could accelerate the peace process by years. Security Advisor Grace Kim shook her head. The risk is too great, Captain Kelly. What if we hosted them on neutral territory? Sam suggested, the lunar diplomatic station. It's secure, defensible, and would allow controlled interaction. President Wilson considered this. The station was designed for delicate negotiations, and its defensive systems are state-of-the-art. She looked at Queen Vexara. Would your council agree to meet there rather than on Earth proper? They would, Vexara confirmed, especially if presented as a security concession from both sides. Neither of us, on our home territory. The human delegation conferred quietly. Then, President Wilson nodded. We agree in principle. The details will require careful planning, strict security protocols, limited numbers, weapons constraints. Of course. Queen Vexara agreed. This is about building trust, not testing it. As the meeting adjourned, Sam found himself walking beside security. Advisor Kim. You took a big risk supporting this plan, Captain, she said. Your reputation is now tied to its success. Some risks are worth taking. Sam replied, and some opportunities too important to miss. That night, as Earth shone through the window of her diplomatic quarters, Queen Vexara studied the small flower the child had given her. It had begun to wilt, its petals curling inward. So fragile, she murmured, so brief, yet so beautiful. Perhaps peace would be the same. Fragile, brief, beautiful, but worth every effort to nurture it before it faded. The lunar diplomatic station hung in space, a gleaming silver structure, against the stark gray of the moon's surface. Constructed decades ago for negotiations with minor alien species, it had never hosted anything as significant as the Zoraxian High. Council preparations had consumed 2 frantic weeks. Security protocols were revised countless times. Accommodations modified to support Zoraxian biology. Earth media buzzed with speculation. Some heralded a new era of peace. Others warned of elaborate Trap Sam found himself in the unexpected role of cultural translator. He worked with both human and Zoraxian teams explaining customs, preventing misunderstandings, smoothing ruffled feathers and mandibles alike. No, the traditional Zoraxian greeting is not a threat display, he explained to nervous human security officers, and no humans don't shake hands to test grip strength for combat potential. The day before the council was due to arrive, Sam found Queen Vexara alone on the station's observation deck. Her normally regal posture seemed burdened. "Doubts, Your Majesty?" he asked, joining her at the viewport. "Concerns," she corrected. "War Chief Zorn leads the opposition to our peace initiatives. He will not be easily swayed, and the Kralaxian ambassador has been whispering in his audio receptor for weeks. What does Zorn want? Glory combat expansion." Vexara clicked her mandibles in frustration. The traditional values of our warrior castes, he sees peace as surrender, cooperation as weakness. And, "What do you want?" Sam asked. The Queen was silent for a long moment. "A future beyond endless war, beyond the patterns that have defined us for millennia. I want my people to evolve not just physically, but culturally." Revolution disguised as diplomacy. Sam mused. "No wonder you're concerned." Vexara turned her multifaceted eyes to him. "When I knelt before you on my flagship, I did not fully understand what I was beginning. I sought to correct an injustice. I did not realize I was transforming an empire." "Transformations always meet resistance," Sam said, "but that doesn't make them wrong." The arrival of the Zoraxian Council the next day was a masterpiece of choreographed diplomacy. 7 massive ships entered lunar orbit precisely on schedule, their approach vectors carefully negotiated to ease human defense concerns. A delegation of 20 council members transferred to the station in small shuttles. Security teams from both species monitored every movement. Sam stood beside Queen Vexara as she greeted her. "Council." The formal Zoraxian welcomes looked like threatening postures to human observers, but Sam had briefed the Earth delegation thoroughly. No one reached for weapons as mandibles clicked and limbs gestured in elaborate patterns. War Chief Zorn was immediately recognizable. His battle armor bore more decorations than any other council member. His stance was aggressive even by Zoraxian standards, his eyes fixed on Queen Vexara with barely disguised challenge. "My queen," he said, his voice a rumbling growl. "We come as commanded, though many question the wisdom of meeting on human territory. We meet on neutral ground." "Chief Zorn," Vexara corrected, "at my invitation, not my command. The distinction matters." Distinctions, semantics, diplomacy. Zorn clicked his mandibles dismissively. "While you play with words, the Kralaxian ambassador brings warnings of human treachery. Evidence of their continued weapons development. Evidence we will examine." Queen Vexara replied evenly, "After you have met the humans. After you have seen what I have seen." Science Minister Trelk stepped forward, her ancient frame moving slowly. "I, for one, am curious. Your reports described a species capable of sacrifice beyond Zoraxian comprehension. I wish to understand this phenomenon, as do I." Resource Minister Pell added, "If what you claim about Operation Lifeline is true, it defies all rational resource allocation models." President Wilson approached, flanked by her own delegation. "Welcome to the Lunar Diplomatic, Station Council members of the Zoraxian Empire. I am Claire Wilson, President of the Earth Coalition. We receive you in peace." What followed was a carefully orchestrated series of presentations, briefings, and controlled interactions. Human scientists presented evidence of Operation Lifeline confirming the Queen's claims, medical data, cultural exchanges, technological demonstrations. War Chief Zorn remained skeptical, his posture rigid throughout impressive theater. He commented during a break, "But it proves nothing. The humans show us what they wish us to see. Nothing more." Queen Vexara had anticipated this, "which is why tomorrow you will meet ordinary humans, not diplomats, not scientists. People whose lives were shaped by our war people, who have every reason to hate us yet may choose another path. The next day brought the most daring element of Queen Vexera's plan. 70 humans arrived at the station. All had lost family to Zoraxian attacks. All had volunteered for this unprecedented. Meeting among them was the man from the reception whose family had died on Proxima Colony. Alan Baker stood before the Zoraxian Council, his face composed though his hands trembled slightly. "My wife and daughters died when your fleet bombarded our farming colony," he said, his voice steady. "They were growing food, not building weapons, not threatening anyone. Their deaths served no military purpose." War Chief Zorn leaned forward. "Human colonies expand into space we consider ours. Your very presence is aggression. We were 20,000 farmers on a planet your species never settled." Baker responded, "You could have demanded we leave established boundaries. Instead, you killed everyone I held dear. The necessities of war." Zorn began. "There was no necessity." Baker cut him off. "And that's my point. I have every reason to hate you, every reason to want revenge." He took a deep breath. "But hatred hasn't brought my family back. It hasn't made the galaxy safer. It hasn't given my life purpose." Council chamber was silent. "I volunteer with refugee children now," Baker continued. "Kids who lost everything to this war. Just like I did. When Queen Vexera knelt and apologized, it didn't erase my pain. But it opened a door, a possibility that my grandchildren might live in a galaxy where Zoraxians aren't monsters to be feared, but people to be known." One by one, other humans shared similar stories. Pain loss. The slow, difficult journey toward healing, not forgiveness, not yet, but openness to a different future. Science. Minister Trelk was visibly affected. Her ancient eyes studied each human speaker with growing comprehension. "Remarkable," she murmured, "their capacity for moving beyond vengeance. It contradicts everything in our psychological models, even some of." The warrior caste representatives seemed thoughtful. One approached Alan Baker after the formal session. "Your offspring, would they have become warriors?" Baker seemed surprised by the question. "My daughters, they were 10 and 7. They loved music and climbing trees. Kelly wanted to be a doctor. Nora wanted to race starships. A warrior and a pilot then." The Zoraxian nodded as if this made sense. "Honorable paths both would have brought pride to your lineage." Baker started to correct him then, stopped seeing something like respect in the alien's posture. "Yes," he said instead. "They would have made me very proud." That evening, Queen Vexera, Sam, and President Wilson met privately to assess progress. War Chief Zorn remains opposed, Vexera reported, but his support is waning. 5 council members who arrived aligned with him are now uncertain. The science and resource castes are largely convinced. President Wilson nodded. The human delegates reported meaningful exchanges, some even described the conversations as healing. "And tomorrow," Sam asked, "tomorrow we address the Kralaxian evidence directly." Queen Vexera said, "I have requested the ambassador himself attend." Wilson looked concerned. "Is that wise? The Kralaxians have been manipulating both sides for centuries." "Precisely," the Queen replied. "It is time we confronted the true architects of our conflict. Let them defend their deceptions in person." Later that night, Sam found Queen Vexera in the station gardens of space, designed to showcase Earth's biological diversity. The Queen was studying a butterfly that had landed on her armored finger. "Such delicate creatures," she mused as Sam approached. "Yet remarkably resilient, your Earth is full of contradictions." "Speaking of contradictions," Sam said, "I hear you invited the Kralaxian ambassador." "I did. Bold move. Some would say dangerous." Queen Vexera watched as the butterfly fluttered away. "Peace requires risk. Captain Kelly playing it safe would have kept our species at war for another 1,000 years. And if he refuses to come," the Queen clicked her mandibles in amusement, "he will come. His position depends on being seen as indispensable to Zoraxian interests. He cannot refuse a direct invitation from his queen, not without admitting his irrelevance. Sam studied her with new appreciation. You understand politics better than you let on? I have ruled an empire for 3 centuries, Captain. Vexara reminded him. One does not maintain power without understanding its mechanisms, and yet you're risking that power now for peace. The queen was silent for a moment. Perhaps that is the final test of power, knowing when to transform it, rather than simply wield it. The arrival of Ambassador Dresk of the Kralaxian Empire created a stir throughout the lunar diplomatic station. His species was rarely seen in person, their influence exercised through proxies and intermediaries. The ambassador himself was a tall, slender being with mottled gray skin and unsettlingly large eyes that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The main conference chamber had been arranged with 3 distinct sections, humans on one side, Zoraxians on the other. The Kralaxian ambassador and his small entourage isolated in the center. Security from all 3 species lined the walls. Tensions evident in their rigid postures, Queen Vexara opened the proceedings, her voice carrying the formal tones of official Zoraxian proclamation. Ambassador Dresk, we have invited you here to address serious concerns regarding Kralaxian influence in the conflict between our species. Evidence suggests your empire has deliberately perpetuated our war through misinformation and manipulation. The ambassador bowed slightly, his movements fluid, almost hypnotic. Such serious accusations, Your Majesty, I come in good faith to present evidence of continued human aggression. Evidence your council needs to evaluate before making irreversible diplomatic mistakes. President Wilson leaned forward. We welcome transparency, Ambassador. Present your evidence, we will do the same. Ambassador Dresk gestured, and one of his aides activated a holographic display. Recent intelligence reveals human weapons development, specifically targeting Zoraxian biology. The display showed what appeared to be research facilities, military installations, weapon schematics. These programs continue even as you speak of peace. Sam watched the Zoraxian council members. Their reactions ranged from vindication among Zorn's allies to skepticism from those more aligned with the Queen. Science Minister Trelk studied the images carefully. These facilities, where are they located precisely? That information is classified for security reasons, the ambassador replied smoothly. Our sources must be protected. Queen Vexara clicked her mandibles. Convenient. Yet you expect us to make policy decisions based on unverifiable intelligence. The Kralaxian Empire has been your loyal ally for centuries, Dresk reminded her. Our intelligence has proven reliable before. President Wilson signaled to her staff. A different holographic display activated. Ambassador, perhaps you can explain why these images you present match exactly with facilities that were decommissioned 5 years ago. Side-by-side comparisons appeared showing the identical images with date stamps, or why your weapon schematics contain mathematical errors that would render them non-functional. The ambassador's large eyes narrowed. Humans are masters of deception. Indeed, Queen Vexara agreed, which is why we took the liberty of comparing your evidence against our own intelligence archives. She nodded to Commander Crix, who activated a third display. These are the actual facilities you claim to show current images, not historical ones. They are agricultural research stations, not weapons facilities. War Chief Zorn looked between the displays, his confusion evident. Ambassador, explain this discrepancy. Ambassador, Dresk remained composed. Clearly the humans have compromised your intelligence systems, a concerning development that only proves my point. Sam stepped forward. Or perhaps we could consider a simpler explanation. The Kralaxian Empire benefits from conflict between our species. War creates markets for your weapons. Diplomatic isolation forces both sides to trade through Kralaxian intermediaries. Peace threatens your influence. The ambassador's composure slipped slightly. Captain Kelly, isn't it? The human who has so thoroughly captivated Queen Vexara. Your bias is noted. As is yours, Ambassador, Sam replied. But unlike you, I brought facts, not fabrications. Queen Vexara addressed her council directly. For centuries, we have accepted Krillaxian intelligence without question. We based military campaigns on their information. We justified the destruction of human colonies on their assurances. She moved to stand directly before Ambassador Dresk. The extinction protocol, the biological weapon that nearly destroyed our homeworld. 2 centuries ago, you claimed it was a natural mutation. Today, we know it was engineered, and not by humans. The council chamber erupted in angry clicks and hisses. Zoraxian councilors rose from their seats, mandibles flaring in threat displays. The ambassador remained unnervingly calm. Baseless accusations, Your Majesty. Perhaps this human has influenced you more than is appropriate for a Zoraxian queen. Not baseless. Science Minister Trelk approached slowly, her ancient frame carrying undeniable authority. I have personally reviewed the molecular structure of the blight. The biomarkers are distinctly Krillaxian. The patterns match known Krillaxian bioweapons from the Mygonian conflict. Ambassador Dresk's eyes darted between exits, calculating. Minister Trelk, with respect, your advanced age may be affecting your analysis. My analysis is confirmed by 3 independent research teams. Trelk replied, including one from your own science academy, though. They did not know what they were confirming at the time. War Chief Zorn stepped forward, his massive frame looming over the ambassador. You deployed a weapon against our homeworld, then blamed humans, then used that deception to manipulate us into centuries of war. His voice had dropped to a dangerous growl. While we fought and died, your empire profited. A misunderstanding. The ambassador said, his voice finally showing strain. Perhaps some rogue element within our government, but not official. Policy, I assure you. The same weapon was deployed against Earth. President Wilson added, killing millions. The same deception, the same pattern. Ambassador Dresk looked around the room, realizing his position had become untenable. The Krillaxian Empire has only sought stability in this sector. Sometimes difficult decisions must be made for the greater good. 2 aggressive species balanced against each other prevented larger conflicts. By creating smaller ones, Queen Vexara finished. No more ambassador. The deception ends today. The Zoraxian Empire formally severs its alliance with the Krillaxian Empire. Effective immediately, all intelligence sharing ends, all military cooperation ceases, all trade agreements are suspended pending review. War Chief. Zorn nodded his agreement, shocking everyone present. For once, the Queen and I are in perfect alignment. The blood of Zoraxian warriors has been spilled for Krillaxian profit. This dishonor cannot stand. Ambassador Dresk's entourage began backing toward the exit. You need us, the ambassador warned. Both your species do. The galaxy is dangerous without Krillaxian protection. We will take our chances, President Wilson said, together. After the Krillaxian delegation was escorted from the station, under heavy guard, the Zoraxian Council remained in session for hours. No humans were permitted to attend. But when they emerged, Queen Vexara sought out Sam and President Wilson. The council vote was unanimous, she announced. The war between our species is officially ended. A peace treaty will be drafted. Reparations will be paid. Cultural exchange will begin. She looked at Sam. And the first joint Zoraxian human fleet will be commissioned to ensure the Krillaxians cannot easily reignite our conflict. President Wilson extended her hand in the human gesture of agreement. A historic day, Queen Vexara. Our children will remember this moment. They will remember what led to it as well. The Queen replied, taking the President's hand carefully. Human compassion in the face of aggression. Saving an enemy who did not deserve saving. That is the true foundation of our peace. Later, Sam found Queen Vexara in the observation lounge, watching Earth rise over the lunar horizon. Your council surprised. Me, he admitted. I expected at least some resistance. The evidence was irrefutable. Vexara replied. and War Chief Zorn's pride was more wounded by Kralaxian manipulation than by the prospect of peace with humans. Warriors value honest enemies over false friends, and you? Sam asked. What does a queen value? Vexara considered the question. Growth, I think. The ability to recognize error and move beyond it. For 3 centuries, I ruled as I was taught to rule, following patterns established. Millennia ago, today I chose a different path and found my council willing to follow, not out of obligation, but out of shared purpose. That is perhaps the most surprising outcome of all. What happens now? Now we build something new, the Queen said. Not human, not Zoraxian. Something that contains elements of both yet becomes more than either alone. It will not be easy. There will be setbacks, resistance, failure, but also discovery, connection, progress. Sam smiled. Worth kneeling for. Worth standing. For Queen Vexara corrected, together. 6 months later, Queen Vexara stood on the bridge of the newly commissioned vessel Unity, the first ship designed and built by joint human-Zoraxian teams. Its hybrid technology incorporated the best of both. Species Captain Sam Kelly stood beside her, both of them watching as the ship prepared for its maiden voyage. The Kralaxians have been quiet, Sam noted. Intelligence suggests they've turned their attention to the Andromeda sector. They will return. Eventually, Vexara predicted. Their empire depends on conflict. They will seek to create it elsewhere for now, but they have not forgotten this defeat. Well, be ready, Sam assured her. Not just militarily, but diplomatically. We've established communication protocols with 17 previously neutral species, all watching the Kralaxian borders. Our alliance has changed the balance of power. Queen Vexara nodded, and changed us in the process. My people speak of humans with respect now, some even with admiration. The cultural exchange programs are oversubscribed. Human literature is being translated into Zoraxian at an unprecedented rate.